All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is, and it's a full circle moment. That's right. We are going right back around in a complete 360 interview, guys. We got my good friends of Chuck right here back on 99.9 FM. Guys, how are you doing out there in Red Deer, Alberta tonight?
Doing great, man.
Doing well. Good.
Oh, man, I got to say, first and foremost, guys, such an honor to speak with you guys again. Like I was telling you, and as you already know as well, had the opportunity to grow a great friendship and business partnership with you guys when it comes to music and airplay and just everything punk rock, and also a great friendship, man. So thank you guys for a bit of your time yet again, 2 years later, man, coming back on the radio station airwaves.
Yeah, well, not going to lie, man. You've been killing it since I last talked to you. I've been doing nothing but enjoying great content and great interviews, and getting to see you interview lots of my heroes on your show has been kind of cool. I mean, another Joe, and getting to see some Teenage Bottle Rocket stuff and everything else that's good in the world, you know?
Oh, man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, Teenage Bottle Rocket, he's a race coming up October 21st. I'm a little nervous about that one, man. That was a Hail Mary pass. Like, I don't know, man. That was like, fourth down. You just threw the damn freaking football, and hopefully he catches it, man. He definitely caught it and ran with it. So shout out to Ray, man, for actually giving me a bit of his time.
Ray's the king, man. I got to see Teenage Bottle Rocket this summer in Calgary. They came through Calgary, and I was front and center to get to watch Teenage Bottle Rocket, and they're like my all-time one of my all-time favorite punk bands. And actually the opening band was a guy named Garrett Dale. I don't know if you've checked out Garrett Dale before, but he blew my mind. It was they were amazing.
Man, I still got to catch a Teenage Bottle Rocket show myself, man. Down here in Ontario, we do get some good punk rock bands, but it's very seldom we actually get them down here in Ontario, man. You mainly have to go to like Montreal or to get to actually really absorb some great punk rock, man. But we do get some in Ottawa, but not very much, man. We just had Belvedere and Authority Zero here in Ottawa, I think for the first time in like 10 years, both of those bands were here. So it's like, it's like once a decade, man. Pretty much you see it, you got to go, or you're going to wait another 10 years.
Yeah. I tell you, Belvedere, it's funny, Steve Rawls from Belvedere back in the mid-90s came to my hometown in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. And Belvedere, like, we were 15, 16-year-old kids, and they let us have like the opening slot, and got a chance to play with those guys all the way back in '96. And I mean, that's a long time gone now. And Steve's a big inspiration that he's still rocking out and still in the scene and still doing his thing and making terrific music. They're a great band. So.
Oh, man, I agree. Belvedere, I mean, even live, man, they're absolutely phenomenal. I wanted to see Belvedere live for years. I just got the opportunity to see them a few weeks back, and man, they just blow your fucking mind, man. I don't like swearing myself on my interviews, but I just got to emphasize just how killer Belvedere is, man. They absolutely fucking killed it, dude.
It's so technical, right? I mean, it's just like on another level. I mean, and they were like that back then. I mean, it was even when we were kids watching it, it was just like, a lot of the stuff I do, I mean, I'm always in that like 3-chord kind of punk rock stuff, and it's not real tough music to play. It's all just easy 3-chord stuff, but the spin that Belvedere puts on it, it makes it so much more challenging and so technical. It's they're a hell of a band.
But also, I know you guys are very busy individuals, so I'm going to dive right into this, man. So I'm not going to take you guys away from your Thursday evening too long, but I got to take you back to December 1st, 2023, because I do know we already talked about the story of the band during the first interview. We talked about all that. So I'm not going to go through that and do a complete full circle. If individuals want to hear the story, they got to go back and listen to this first interview. Then this can be their second parter. But we're going to kick things off right after the second interview when you guys actually dropped your 5-track EP titled Puts 98. I got to ask, man, what is the story and inspiration behind this phenomenal EP? And of course, where can we actually stream it almost 1 year later today?
Yeah, well, Puts 98 it was actually recorded in 1998. So it was me and my high school buddies at the time. I mean, that was like my grade 11 year in high school, and we never ever had a platform to release it. I mean, we had a couple of demo tapes that we put out for it, and I had these MP3s that were sitting around of the original the original recordings. So I asked Jesse at Deer City, would he mind, like, kind of, look, man, would you help me out and try to clean these up as best you can? And I'd really like to release it. So I contacted the guys, like my old high school buddies that were in the band, and said, look, I mean, how do you guys feel about me releasing this, 20 plus years after the fact as a Chuck Spadina record, is just kind of a little surprise for everybody and something that might be a little bit fun to listen to. So yeah, so that's me back in the 90s playing some punk rock songs, and yeah, that's kind of the story behind that one.
And I got to say, man, it's absolutely killer record, man. Like, did you actually, are those just like the original recordings, or did you actually kind of go back and remaster these as well? Or were these completely just the raw recordings that you had recorded back in '98?
Yeah, that's what we did in '98. I mean, I can remember me and my buddy Jeff Valancourt and Tyler Gracie and Jason McQueen, and we were in a studio called, I think it was Mastodon over in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and yeah, we had a couple $100 budget, and we showed up with our instruments and banged that out and kind of in one day back in '98, and that's what you get.
And especially as well, man, back in '98, I don't think people realize how expensive studio time is today, but also back in the '90s, it was even more expensive, man, because you weren't you weren't recording digital, man. This was all on reels, man. So this cost even more money. So the fact that you guys actually did that, banged it out in one day, that's what you call actually literally saving money, man. Because if you would have had to do that a second day, it would have cost double.
Well, yeah, man, for a bunch of high school kids, it just wasn't in the budget. We had no choice but to get it done in the day. So.
But also, August 30th of this year, you actually released a single titled "Shoot the Breeze" featuring Jesse Rhodes. I was wondering, how did you guys actually get connected with Jesse? And of course, what was it like just working alongside this super talented individual in the studio?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse's a good buddy. I mean, he's good buddies with Dave and Jeff too, and he's a sweet guy. He owns Deer City Records and Red Deer, the label that we're on. And Jesse's a talented musician that tours around the province, and he has a whole catalog of his own music that he plays. And I mean, he's just a fantastic musician. So I had this "Shoot the Breeze" song idea, and it was a little bit more out of the punk vein and kind of more into like a rock and roll style song, and that was kind of right up Jesse's alley. So I asked him if he'd be so kind to do some lead guitar tracks over it on that one, and he did it, and it turned out great. We were super happy with the way it turned out. So,
it was definitely a phenomenal collaboration, man. You guys definitely had amazing chemistry on that song.
Yeah, Jesse's a gem. I mean, he takes all of our crazy ideas and lets us kind of run with them, and he gives us great deals on studio time, and he really, I'm sure Dave and Jeff can attest to it, but he's a great friend that way, and letting us and giving us the reins to kind of do our chaos in any setting we want. So.
And I do know as well that with Deer City Records, I don't think we really touched base very much on that during the first broadcast. So obviously, I know Jesse, you worked with him on the song, but how did you ultimately get signed to Deer City Records, man? Because that is a phenomenal record label out there in Red Deer, Alberta.
Yeah, pretty much, again, it's just because of that friendship with Jesse and him actually believing in the music. And I mean, I was doing some folk music that I was working on with him. Like I do some folk music and stuff on the side. And Jesse was like a big part in kind of believing in those ideas and letting me run with some of those ideas in the folk stuff. And I said, like, look, Jesse, my heart's really in this old style punk rock, and I just have so much material written, and I was playing with the band, I was playing with Jeff, and we were making music, playing with Dave making music, and it was going really well. And we just he believed in the Chuck Spadina idea, and he just thought it was a fun idea. And he kind of just let us run with it. And then when the offer and option came out to actually put it on the label, I mean, we jumped at it, obviously, to have that support, and he's been very supportive in the journey thus far. So.
But yeah, definitely shout out to Jesse, man. The roster over at Deer City is absolutely phenomenal, man. You guys and so many other punk rock bands. I'm really excited to see what actually just comes next from that particular label.
Yeah, man.
But also August 30th, you actually released your most recent single titled "I Haven't Been a Good Friend." I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this brand new Chuck song.
Well, I mean, geez, that's a tough one, because I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way as me, but sometimes you haven't necessarily been a good friend, and it was just this idea I had that was like, it's like if you have a friendship that kind of fell off along the way, or you lost touch with them or whatever else, and you kind of miss some of those moments with that friend after you've lost touch with them. And you miss that camaraderie with them and whatever else. And I don't want to say it's like an apology or whatever else, but I mean, it's like kind of just taking some accountability for being a piece of shit once in a while. And I haven't been a perfect person, man. So I mean, it is what it is, right?
But I got to say as well, I think everyone has been at least a bad friend at some point in their life, or felt like they've been a bad friend. So people that are listening, if you ever felt like you were a piece of shit to your friend, this is going to be your anthem while you feel bad about it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Pour yourself a glass of whiskey on the rocks, listen to it, and realize, wow, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah,
but you're not alone, man, because this song proves that you're not alone, man. So
that's right. It just brings us all us pieces of shit together.
But the good thing is, the first step to admitting you have a problem of being a piece of shit is admitting you have a problem, man. It's the first step to clarity. So if you listen to this song and you realize that you've been a piece of shit, that's what step one to admitting that you have a problem, man.
Yeah, that's
you can
right,
work
man.
on it.
You can't win them all, man. It's one of those things, right?
But also as well, digging into this one, man, because when I saw this, I was super excited, man, and I wanted to message you and ask you about this, but I knew right off the hop I was interviewing you guys yet again, so I had to wait. I had to save it. That way we can get the news right here. But September 6th, 2024, you shared via your official Instagram the cover for your up-and-coming album called It's a Trap. I was wondering, man, can you dig into this up-and-coming album? And, of course, what is the estimated release date, man? Because I need to get my hands on a copy of this album when it comes out, man.
Yeah, well, it's all in the queue. We're waiting on a couple licensing things, because I threw a couple at the very end after Dave and Jeff and me and Cody, we all finished in the studio. There was a couple acoustic covers that we added on at the end, and one of them was Bullion by Millencolin, and then I did an acoustic cover of Punk Rock Girl by the Dead Milkmen. And it's pretty much in the queue, ready to be released, but we haven't got the licensing thing cleared on the two cover songs. So I guess soon as that clears, it's gonna drop on all the streaming things or streaming areas to check it out. We got some physical copies of it. I got one of those in the mail for you already. And
I appreciate that, dude.
Yeah, hopefully that'll show up to you soon, and you can crank it up, man.
I will admit, I do not think my roommate here in Ottawa will enjoy it, because I don't really know. I never hear him play loud music, but Matt, if you're watching, my apologies. You're going to be hearing some killer punk rock, and I can't promise that I will turn it down. So sorry, but at this point, not sorry.
See, that's
the rent will be on time, dude. The rent will be on time, so
See, and that's you not being a good friend. You got to respect his boundaries and not play that shit full blast, right?
I have to, man. I have to. I will literally play that song full blast. I'm going to have to. I think I might start off with that song, then go back to track one. That way, when I play through the whole album, I'll have to play the same song over again.
I love it.
But Dave, Jeff, I have to ask, guys, because obviously, you were a part of this up-and-coming album. What's your take on the new album, man? Like, what do you want the fans to actually know about this album before they actually get their hands or even their ears actually on this record?
Well, we're excited for everybody to listen to some new Chuck. We've had this in the can for a while, had a few bumps in the road along the way, but it's nice to get the music out. And me and Dave, since the last time we had the interview, Dave's basically our new bass player, so you should probably introduce the world to Dave Wilkie over here.
He's a beaut. Hey, Dave.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love right then and there. I like Dave already. You want to know why? Because he's been quiet the whole interview, which is cool. But see, that just proves he doesn't need to talk to display his talent. He's just gonna show you right in person his talent, man. He doesn't need to talk. He's gonna play it.
Yeah, I can talk. Yeah, I totally appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. The music's awesome. I've known John for a real long time, and Jeff and I are pretty tight too. So I've known John over 20 years, and we have a bit of a musical history together. And so to be playing with him, and I really like the energy, the live performances that we've had of late. You can see the effect from the energy, and I appreciate that.
Oh man, I gotta say, I really hope one day I want to get you guys actually down here to Ontario for a show, man. I know Red Deer, you guys have shows all over the place, and we're gonna get into that in a moment. But I think Ontario needs to experience some Chuck down here in Ontario, man, for sure.
Sounds good.
We'll have to plan a tour in the near future, Johnny.
Yeah.
We'll get out there one of these days. You'll be the first place we stop, okay?
Hey, well, you know what? I actually speaking of that, when we get off the air, I'll message you there, Johnny, and we'll actually talk. Because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm setting up a little punk rock festival for I think it's going down June 2025, man. So let's work out the logistics, man, and we'll talk how much it will cost to get you guys down here, and honestly, I'll match that price, man. So we'll definitely talk.
I have to start hitchhiking now.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, start hitchhiking, man. You know what I mean? Just make sure you bring the snowsuits too, because it does get cold all the way through Canada. You know, get the thermal tents going and whatnot. You guys can make it.
So what's the skinny on that? You're doing a festival in your hometown there, and you got some bands booked. Like what's doing there?
Yeah, so originally, I was a vision that I've always wanted to do as a little punk rock festival. I wanted to do it, but I will admit there's some things where I'm very ambitious, but there's some things I'm a little bit of a pussy about. And when you book a festival, you want people to show up, right? My biggest fear was you book a crap ton of bands, you pay them, and nobody shows the fuck up, right? So I had Bedlam Hour, legendary punk rock band. They reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, we want to come to Canada." So I figured, man, like they said, literally just pay us $500, pay for our gas, and we'll drive from South Carolina to Canada. And I was like, "Wait, what? That's all you guys want?" So I figured right then and there, I have to do a festival, right? I can't just bring these guys down for like an hour-long performance and send them packing for another 2 days of driving. So I was like, okay, if this is the time to do it, this is the time to do it. So I booked them. I got Mixed Signal from Toronto. They're coming back to Prescott. They got they absolutely packed the whole pub. And then I got Jake DeMarsh. He's an artist here in Ottawa as well. So I got 3 amazing bands and artists booked. And I mean, so far I'm just trying to get the lineup going. But it's going down at O'Heafe's Irish Pub in Saturday, June 7th. It's going to be like band after band after band, like all the way through. So like the pub's going to be like just bumping all the way through, man, from 11 a.m. right up to midnight. So
that's awesome, and we actually played with a band out of Toronto in Calgary last week. We played with Among Legends. I don't know if you're familiar with.
I heard of them, yeah. Killer band.
Among Legends, but yeah, they were super cool. They were super cool, and they're in the area. So maybe try to get Among Legends or another one we put. I heard recently out of Toronto that I was playing on my Spotify was Out of Hand. I don't know if you've heard of those guys, but great. I
haven't, but I definitely I'm gonna check those guys out. There's so many killer bands, man, that honestly like they slip right under your radar, man, because there's so many bands nowadays, and there's so much good punk rock out there, man. So it's like some bands you completely miss them just because there's so many in that one area.
Yeah, man.
But speaking of performances and whatnot, man, October 12th, you guys will be taking the stage at the Vat Pub out there in Red Deer, Alberta, alongside Hungry Hollow and Grim. I was wondering, what can your fans actually expect from this up and coming performance? And of course, where can we snag ourselves some last minute tickets?
I think you can buy them online ahead of time, or you can get them at the door. I was surprised they added us to the bill because I kind of checked out Hungry Hollow and Blue Sparrow, and I was like, geez, well, it's definitely going to be a good mix of different genres of music that night for sure. Because I think there's a little bit of country and some alternative and some different stuff in there. So yeah, it'll kind of cover all the bases, you know.
Hey, well, you know what I say to that, man? They better get ready for a mosh pit. You know what I mean? Hopefully, them country fans, they better bring an extra pair of Converses to take those cowboy boots off. 'Cause I'm telling you, if they're front and center at a Chuck show, they're gonna be whipped around like a rag doll.
You can't have those spurs on in the pit. They'll hurt somebody. You know what I mean?
Oh man, but you know what? It is Alberta, so I mean, there's definitely going to be somebody there with cowboy boots. And honestly, if there was nobody there with cowboy boots, I'd probably sit back and be like, "Is this really Alberta?"
That's right. Never fails. There's always at least one guy.
But also, aside from the VAT Pub, I also saw on Instagram that you guys are going to be going on tour in support of the up-and-coming album, It's a Trap. What other cities will you guys be hitting? And of course, when does this killer tour actually start?
Yeah, we've been kind of bouncing around a lot. We've had a lot of success in booking gigs and getting shows, and I've been driving poor Dave and Jeff crazy trying to get them to say yes to absolutely everything I throw out there. But we went up and played a neat festival in Fort McMurray called Party in the Park with the guys from Supermodel Taxidermy, another great punk band from Alberta here. And Knife Fight in the OR was there. There was a bunch of which is a great hardcore band. And so we traveled up from Red Deer to Fort Mac and played a show out there outside in the park, which was kind of cool. We were in Calgary last weekend. We got some stuff coming in Edmonton. We're doing a few more shows in Red Deer. So just we're trying to do that big push to now that the record's complete, to try to get it out there and in front of as many ears as possible.
I got to say, Knife Fight at the OR, such a killer band, man. I love the name of the band. It's creative because you listen to the band name and you're like, God damn, man. Like I will admit, if I wasn't a punk rock fan or a hardcore fan and I heard the fact that Knife Fight at the OR is actually on the bill, I'd be scared to go, dude. But you know what? That right there, there's going to be some killer mosh pits with that band, bro.
They were killer, man. I don't know what that singer's so angry about, but that dude was angry. He was angry.
Hey, man, it's 2024, man. Everyone's hungry nowadays, man. I don't blame him for being angry.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to sell your soul just to buy a house nowadays, man. So I can see why he's angry.
Maybe that's what it was. It was down payment issues or something. I don't know.
But I have to ask, guy, because obviously, It's a Trap is currently like on its way out. Once you get the licensing stuff up to bat, you guys are going on tour. You guys got the show at the VAT Pub. Aside from that, what is next for the rest of the band, man? Is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you still want to touch on, talk about, or promote?
Geez, I don't know, Jeff, Dave, you guys got anything? I mean, we do have a whole ton of new music written, and we're not stopping. Jeff, Dave, are you guys stopping anytime soon?
No, we're just grabbing gears now. We got a good group together. We've got a good formula. Like I said, this band, this group of guys, there's an energy, there's a vibe. We're I don't want to be cheesy, but we're there's a lot of camaraderie, and we look out for each other, and we're there for each other, and our heart's in it for the right reasons. We're doing this just because we like doing it. That's the bottom line. And so our intent is, I don't want to be cheesy, but our intent is pure, and it shows.
It's our midlife crisis.
It's our midlife crisis, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Or am I past the midlife?
I think so.
Late life crisis.
Late life crisis, Dave?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, boys? Don't even worry about that. Some people, they go out and buy a motorcycle. They go out and blow a crap ton of money on their midlife crisis. But hey, at least you're actually sharing your midlife crises with the world and giving us some killer punk rock. Me as a fan of the band, I'm not going to complain, man. I just hope the midlife crisis doesn't end at all anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I hope a year from now we're doing this again with another new record, man. I mean, that's the goal line. So that's I hope we're sitting in the same place again next year with these same beautiful faces doing the same thing. So,
well, I will tell you this, man. It will definitely happen because I will tell you this right off the hop before we part ways here tonight, guys. I will say this. You guys are one of the very first bands to actually give myself and 99.9 FM an interview. And the way I am, man, if you support me from the start, I'm going to support you for the long run, man. So anytime you want to come on the radio station, even if we used up every single possible question we have and you guys just want to shoot the shit for 20 minutes and talk about one project, I don't care, man. You guys always have a home here on 99.9 FM, man. So we will do this a third, fourth, fifth, as many times as you want to do it, man. You reach out, you got it.
I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for that.
Hey, man, you're most certainly welcome. But I do know, as you already know, Johnny and David, you guys know how I roll. Obviously, I know how to follow you. But people, they might just be recently new to the radio station. They might not have listened to the first Chuck interview. But how do we go about following you guys on social media? That way we can stay updated on this killer record that's actually set to be released.
It's going to be everywhere. Spotify. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on whatever other streaming platforms are out there. You can always buy merch from us as well. If you want to check it out and buy some merch, that's available online. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. We're trying everything. So find us anywhere.
And I got to say, Johnny, thank you so much. Looks like Dave and Jeff actually looks like their internet kind of left, but if they're watching or they rewatch this, thank you both for your time. And Johnny, it's an honor to chat with you again, man. I know we're connected on Facebook, so we're always engaging with each other's stuff, but hey, man, you know what I mean? Thank you again for your time. And we definitely shall talk again here soon. And David, Jeff, I was just saying thank you guys for a little bit of your time, man.
No stress.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you.
Hey, you're most certainly
brother.
welcome, guys. Have yourselves a phenomenal night, man. We definitely shall do this again sometime soon.
Awesome.
Take care.